All right. Whoa. Okay, what's up, Glen Park? What's up, Wichita? We're a little late today. Forgive me for that. Glad you guys are here. We're rolling. We're live. All right, so it's Monday edition of Ask Your Pastor. And I want to say hello to everybody that's popping on. Jeff, Brenda, Cindy, glad you guys are here. I got to do just a couple things left here, and then we'll get rolling. Hey guys, don't forget to like and share. Love to have you just like and share this to your page. That'd be awesome. And if you could do that, we can get more people on, more questions, more conversation, more FaceTime for Glen Park to our community and surrounding area. So like and share. Tell your friends. Don't forget, if you like and share this, you put this on your page, and you have people who comment on your page, don't forget that I'm not going to probably see that. So make sure that you bring those comments and you put those over on the Glen Park page so that I can actually see those comments and questions, if you could do that. Things we'll do. That's all good. I think people like that. What a day. Yeah, all right, here we go. I'm ready now. All right, guys, welcome to Ask Your Pastor. It is Monday afternoon. It's 2 o'clock, a little after, about 2:10, so we got just a little bit of a late start. I apologize for that. That is on me. But we want to encourage you, ask your questions today. You can put them in the comments, or you can email me, pete@glenpark.com. Glenn has 2 N's, so don't forget pete@glenn, Glenn park.com. And if you want to email me, you can put in there, hey, don't tell everybody who's asking the question. I just want to know the answer. And I'm good with that. Yeah, we don't mind that at all. All right. So let me see if I can roll through here and figure out who I need to say hi to. So, Jim and Nettie, Nancy Lane, my wife April, Roy and Vicky, Kathy Davis, Jeff Davis, Brenda Davis, Cindy Randall, Dorothy and Jeanette, Jennifer Johnson, Mr. Charles Cutter. I think I got everybody so far. Remember, Gail, I don't know if I said hi to Gail. All right, remember, I don't see everybody that pops on here, so if somebody shows up on your page, and I don't know them, maybe convince them they should just say hi on Glen Park's page, and then I'll get to know they're here. And we can just say hi, we can make new friends. We love making new friends. That's one of the things we do. So, okay. Carol, hello. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so if you're here, maybe your friend posted this on their page and you have no idea what's going on. Let me just tell you what happened. Your friend tricked you, and you found yourself into a little segment we call Ask Your Pastor. So this is a 1-hour segment, one hour broadcast that we do 3 days a week now. It's just Q&A. So you can put questions into the comments. You can email me, Pete, P-E-T-E, @Glenn, Glenn park.com. If you want to email me, go ahead and email me. If you don't want people to know who's asking the question, no big deal. Just say, hey, don't share who this is, and I have no problem with that. So if we can answer your question, whatever it takes, we're happy to do that. So what kind of questions can we ask? Here's the kind of questions that you can ask. We encourage Bible questions. We love Bible questions. One of the main reasons we're here is so that together we can grow in our relationship with Jesus, grow in our understanding of who he is, grow in our understanding of of theology and good doctrine. And so you can ask those questions, and if you do, we're going to try to answer them from this book right here, the Bible, because that's where the answers are. So we actually have one really good question today, and I thought about it all day today, and I'm really excited to talk about it. But other questions you can talk about. You can ask questions like, I don't know if it has it on this bottle, but I was noticing the other day that there are plastic bottles that have the little recycle symbol, and they say my name right underneath of it. It says Pete, and I'm not sure why. It's not my, I mean, if I'm holding it, I guess it's my bottle, but how would they know that? So, but anyway, you can ask those kind of questions. You can ask questions like, how do you put together a Christmas tree that has the lights built into it? And how do you change the lights if one of them doesn't work? It's a great question. You can ask me about how oscillating fans cool the air around them. I mean, really, the questions are limitless. You can ask anything. So, all right. So, Abby Barnes, hello. Celia and Lou, hi guys. Glad everybody's on for today. It's good. Like and share, get your friends going. Trick them into coming. That's what we like to do. Hey guys, guess what's happening? All right, so today is June 8th. So in less than 30 days, we will be meeting in our building together for our first Sunday back. July 5th. It's coming quick, and we're so excited. We are ready. We're ready for you to be here. We're ready for our family to be together.
Yes.
And so we're just super, super excited. So mark your calendar, July 5th.
Whoa.
We're going to have two services, 8:30 and 10:30. So here's a couple of questions that we've talked about just processing. So are you ready to come back? That's question number one. Are you ready to come back? Do you feel comfortable about coming back? By the time that we come back in July,
Yes.
Basically our state will have been open for about a month. It was originally planned that we would have about 2 weeks in between the time that our state opened up and when we opened up, and we did that very specifically. We wanted to give you time to acclimate to kind of moving around and being comfortable, being out and about. So question is, are you ready? Are you comfortable? Are you ready and comfortable to be here? What kind of precautions do you think that you might take coming back in here? Or what kind of precautions do you expect you might see? I mean, these are all questions that we kind of have. And we're processing all of these things right now. I mean, we're like I said, we're going to be a full month removed from when we actually open. We watch the numbers, these COVID numbers, all the time. I watch them every day. The COVID numbers are so low right now. It's almost non-existent, and so I'm very glad about that, very comfortable with that. But these are thoughts for you. So we actually, if you are part of Glen Park, you are on a call list. If we have your number, then you're probably getting a call every week. You might miss a week or something, but generally you should be getting a call every week. If you don't get a call, it's probably because you're on my list and I run out of time or something. And I apologize for that. Please forgive me. But people are going to be calling you. They're going to be asking you, hey, what's the situation? How do you feel? Are you ready? Do you think you'll come back now, or do you think you'll wait? And they're going to ask you questions, so just be ready to give them honest answers. That's going to help us a lot as we determine what our next steps are. But we're excited. 8:30 and 10:30, July 5th. Plan on coming. Plan on being a part of what's going on here. Plan on being ready to come in and sing and just love the Lord with us. It's going to be an exciting day. We're going to kind of look back over the last, I think it's going to be like 14 weeks or something. Does that sound right, guys?
I think so, yeah.
I think. And so we're just going to look back over basically 4 months of not being together, and we're going to talk about all the things that God did in that time. And it's enormous. I mean, I'm really excited for you guys to hear about it. So get ready for that. That's July 5th. So, Jeff Davis, no Sunday school, correct? That is correct. So there are still Sunday schools that are going on. via Zoom, and they will continue probably to do that through that first month. So July is kind of our soft opening. August is probably where we're going to start back with our kids programs and Sunday schools, and we're just going to figure out throughout July, how much did we grow? We believe God actually grew our church while we were gone. So we're excited to meet the new people, and some of you watching right now might be some of the new people. So I'm excited to interact with you. So we're going to just look at the size of the congregation at Glen Park. We're going to see where do we need more volunteers, where are some holes that are going to be found, and we're going to figure out how to fix and patch those, fill those holes throughout the month of July. And then August, man, I think we're going to kick back off, and it'll be pretty much full steam ahead as normal. So no Sunday school, no kids programs, anything like that for the first month. But I want to encourage you to come. Bring your kids, especially. I know some parents kind of have a hard time thinking, I don't know if I want my kids sitting there. They're going to fuss. They're going to fidget. We have plans, really. I mean, we put some time into this, and I surprised Pastor Brian today by letting him know that he's actually going to give a child's lesson before I preach, and they're actually going to have bags of things to do throughout the service. So they'll have things to keep them involved. They're going to have their own kind of lesson time with Pastor Brian right up front. So there's going to be stuff going on for them, and we're ready for them. We're ready for them to be here. They will not bother us at all. They can scream the whole time. It ain't going to bother me. So bring your kids. They need to be in church too. They need to see you worship. They need to see how you interact with Jesus when you're here, and so bring them. All right.
There's Karen Carlisle just jumped on.
Well, hello, Karen.
We got a little handheld for me up here, a little lapel. I can actually talk to you without grabbing a microphone.
A lapel mic?
Yeah, it's so that whenever you have your guests on Wednesday nights, they don't have to put up a microphone on the table for you.
Wow.
So Mr. Don and I have been hard at work this morning.
Moving right uptown.
Yeah, we are.
All right, let me catch up here. That was a lot of stuff to
I was going to say,
spew
take
out.
a breath, Pete.
I'm going to answer this question to Gail. She says, I suspect you're not going to open up with our meet and greet time. That is still undetermined. If you ask me, my goal is really to come back in here and just be business as usual. I don't want this to be a place of fear. I don't want to strike fear. I don't want to cause anybody any undue stress. We're very comfortable with what God has been doing. And we're going to be smart, but I do not anticipate that we're going to look like a completely different place with all kinds of weird stuff going on. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm not there. So we're all kind of over it. I think we want to be smart. I got to keep saying that. We want to be smart, and we have been. God's given your elders a lot of wisdom, and so we've taken it step by step, day by day. But we're all ready to be back and to be wise about how we do that. So, my cousin says, any tips on getting a 4-day-old to sleep through the night? No. I don't remember what that's like. And yes, she gets a prize for being the youngest person to be on Ask Your Pastor. Unless somebody's got a 3-day-old, in which case... then they would win. But, yeah. So, let's see. All right. Tony, what's up, man? Thanks for asking that question. How to deal with stress when things are out of your hands. Yeah, it's good. You know what? I feel like life is stress. I think there's so many different things in a day's time that can bring stress, some of which we think that we can control. But I wonder sometimes, like, how much can we actually control the things that we control? The old saying is the one thing that you can control is yourself. You can control your attitude. And I think that is a key thing. Controlling your attitude is big. But so me being somebody who deals with anxiety and learning how to kind of master that, I guess, the one thing that I've learned is to remember that God is sovereign, right? And nothing surprises God. There's nothing that's outside of him. He knows everything that's going on. He knows exactly how it's going to go, how it's going to end. He's seen the beginning, the end. He is the Alpha, the Omega. Nothing happens without God's knowledge of it happening, and nothing happens that surprises God. And so that's good. Now, lots of things happen outside of our knowledge. Lots of things happen that surprise us. In fact, that's kind of why it's a surprise, I guess, because we just don't have a clue. I think about, even in my own life, how I could plan and plan and plan, but outside of my planning, it's really not up to me. Like, I can make plans, but the plans are only good if things go the way that I plan for them to go. So first off, I'd say we need to remember that God is sovereign, but we actually looked at this not too long ago. Go to Proverbs chapter 16 for a minute. Proverbs chapter 16. And I think, Tony, unfortunately, I could answer this question for a week probably. I mean, there's so many ways, but I want to get right down to what the simple truth is, right? We could have all kinds of kind of balloon theory, but we need simple truth. That's how we're going to break right down into the base of it. How to deal with stress when things are out of your hands or out of control. We can do all kinds of things. We can make plans. We can set up barriers. We can stockpile. We could just do all sorts of things, but that only works if things go the way that we think they're going to go. So Proverbs 16 says this: "The plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the spirit," or the motive. It says, "Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. The Lord has made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble. Everyone who is arrogant in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Be assured he will not go unpunished. By steadfast love and faithfulness, iniquity is atoned for, and by the fear of the Lord one turns away from evil. When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him." So just in these 7 verses, we can see something that's very important. The plans of the man the plans of your heart belong to you. So the ideas that you think of, the ideas, I'm going to do this and this and this in order to avoid or to succeed in this or this. Those things from your heart, from your brain, those belong to you. Those are yours. But the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. So while you have plans and you can process and you can think, ultimately there's what's actually going to happen is controlled by God. Verse 2 says, "All the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes." So that word ways really is like a blueprint. So all of your blueprints, when you plan out life and you're thinking about, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, I'm going to do this for so many years. James talks about those who say, today or tomorrow we're going to go into this city or that, and we're going to make a living, and we're going to be there for a certain amount of time. And instead of what you should say is, if the Lord wills, we will do this or that. And we will go here or there. So we can have blueprints, and we can make it all up. And they'll look good to us. And then when we get stressed out is when things take a turn, and they're not going the way that we wrote them out in our blueprints. So all of the ways, or all of the blueprints of a man are pure. They're good in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the motives. So he's looking deeper than we are. God is, he knows what we want. He knows where we want to be, but there's always another level that we sometimes forget to look at, And so what is the motive for how we deal with the stress in our life? That we've set up these barriers and these blocks and these ideas and these plans. What is the real motive? Is the real motive, I don't want to get hurt. I want to make sure I'm successful. I don't want anybody to bother me. I don't want anybody to interact with me in a way that I'm not comfortable with. What is the real and true motive? And God weighs that. He knows what our heart's true motive is in our blueprints. And so verse 3 is the answer to how these things actually can work out. Commit your work to the Lord. Commit your product, the end result. Commit it to the Lord, and your blueprints then, or your ideas, then they will be established. So if we actually take every piece of our life and we say, okay, Lord, here's what I think you're telling me. And so I'm actually going to read through some scripture maybe. I'm going to spend some time in prayer. I'm going to listen and see if this is really what you're telling me you want me to do. Is this what you want me to do? Then I'm going to start building a plan of how to get there. But if I get out of line, then God, I need you to change my direction. I need you to help me rewrite my blueprints so that it's pure in your eyes instead of just mine. As you weigh my motive, God, and you know my motive. And I think for us, there's a rapper who actually says, when we think about our own good deeds, they're just an extension of our own selfishness. When we think about the good deeds that we do, they're just an extension of our own selfishness. So if our motive in our hearts can't really be pure all the time before the Lord because of our own kind of desire to move ahead, we have to let the Lord weigh the motive and then eradicate the things that are not pleasing to Him, the things that are not part of His plan for us, they're not His will, and we need to let our works, we need to let our plans, our blueprints, our ideas be committed to the Lord. They're all yours. You take them, you do what you want with them. These are yours, and then watch Him help us establish the plans. He puts it all together. Now, in the midst of this, we might have questions because even though we're trusting the Lord to make the decision, we're trusting the Lord to guide us, a lot of times we see things. We see things like people who, maybe in our own kind of eyes, they shouldn't be getting ahead and they are. Those kind of people, those. Sometimes we hit bumps in the road and we take major setbacks. And we don't always understand, why did we have to take that major setback? Or why did I work so hard and that guy benefited from what I did? And verse 4 says that the Lord has made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble. So as we watch the things that happen, remember that the Lord in His perfect sovereignty, the Lord in His creation, the Lord in His establishing, in His motive weighing, in the way that He prepares His will, He's made everything for its purpose. So if you hit a road bump, God has a purpose for the road bump. If you get set back a week in your project, maybe what you don't know is coming is that there's going to be a tornado or something that's going to tear down the building that you just erected, and you're going to have to do it all over again. But because you hit that bump in the road, God calls to slow down to save you something else. We just don't know, but God does. And so that's why we say, okay, Lord, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to raise my family, I'm going to lead my wife, I'm going to do my job, when I buy my car, when I go to the store, whatever it is, Lord, I'm committing my day to you. Whatever you want. This is what I think it is, but you change direction whenever you see fit. And if we can refocus our mind to see that we don't always have the best laid plans, but God does. And if we can put our full faith and trust in the fact that He's not going to take us somewhere that is dangerous for us to the point of where we would be lost. Or he's not going to do something to us as a way of punishment just to be mean. Or he's not going to give us a setback just to see whether or not we're resilient enough. He has a plan. And so we have to remember those things. And when we can do that, because life in general is stressful enough on its own. The scriptures say, don't worry about tomorrow because today has plenty of troubles. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Let's deal with right now. We'll get to tomorrow. I mean, stress is everywhere. So when stress is out of hand, when life is out of hand, when everything, we have to rely on God. We have to rely on God. We got to focus on Him, on His will, on His desire for us, His attributes. We have to know Him. If we don't know Jesus, if we don't know Him well, we're going to have a really hard time understanding why He allows things to happen, good or bad. I mean, He could allow you to win the lottery, right? I mean, He could. He could allow you to win the lottery, or He could allow you to lose your home. I mean, it's really endless, but the idea is, whatever you see fit as best, Lord, then I'm going to follow you. I'm going to do it. And so the prayer is like, cause me to understand your will. Cause me to see what you're doing. Cause me to be able to like wrap my mind around your work, your plans, your will. Weigh the motives, weigh everything that I'm thinking, and then cause me to see things the way you see them. So I hope that, Tony, I hope that helps, because I think that's something that we all deal with. I think that's something we all have to struggle with a little bit, is not everything goes the way we plan. In fact, most things don't, probably. I get to go home today and clean up one of my dogs that got sick today, so it's all over the place. I didn't really plan for that. That actually is a little bit stressful, and I really don't want to do that. But you know what? I have to. And I don't know why it happened, but I'll just say, hey, Lord, I mean, like, help me figure out, like, if there's something for me to learn here, help me learn it, okay? So hope that helps. Tony, thank you very, very much for asking. All right. Steve Lisi, how you doing, man? We're doing good. We're doing good. Pat Ashton, hello. McLeod's, hello. All right. Hey, if you guys are on here, you don't know why, that's okay. A lot of people don't. It's a natural thing. People stumble in here. This is Ask Your Pastor. This is something we do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday each week. On Mondays and Tuesdays, we do it at 2 o'clock. And then on Wednesdays, we do it at 7 p.m. It's a 1-hour broadcast of Q&A. So you can email me, pete@glennpark.com, pete@glenn, Glenn, park.com. Or you can put your comments right in the comments line, just like Tony did. So, but we're just an hour-long time where we get to sit and talk. On Wednesdays, I try to bring in a guest. And so those are a little bit funner, more fun. I always use funner. It's really not a word, I've heard. But it's a lot more fun for me. That's fun too. So anyway, yeah, check us out Monday and Tuesday at 2 and Wednesday at 7. So I do have one question that came in over email, and it's actually in the book of Proverbs, and I've actually got to think about this a lot today. I'm really excited to be able to answer this question, because as I was thinking about it, and I was reading, actually I was listening to it. I've read the book of Proverbs a number of times. I've read Proverbs chapter 1, I don't even know how many times. But today, for whatever reason, Proverbs chapter 1 became very, very real to me. And I think maybe it's because I'm going to answer this question here in a minute. And as I'm thinking about the question and I'm reading just this opening statement in Proverbs chapter 1, the definition and the explanation of what we're going to be doing for the next 30-ish chapters is really honing in on what he tells us. And so I think we'll just get into that. So if you guys have your Bibles, the question is, in Proverbs chapter 7, 8, and 9, who's talking? And it's an interesting question because as you read chapter 7 and then chapter 8 and then chapter 9, it seems like there could be multiple people talking. And so we have to figure out what's actually happening in these 3 chapters. So I had an answer here that I wanted to share, and it was just a simple thing. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right, so this book, Proverbs, now I want to give you the definition of a proverb in just real simple terms, okay? Because if you've never read Proverbs, you should. You could read a chapter a day throughout the month and have one for every day, and you should do that. It's really good. It's a wisdom book, really, and so it's 31 chapters. Read Proverbs. You could read it once every day. If you like to read a little Old Testament, a little bit New Testament, spend your next month going through the book of Proverbs along with whatever else you're reading. But a definition of a proverb is this. It's a short saying that's widely used to express an obvious truth. And in the case of a biblical proverb, it's a short saying that's widely used to express an obvious truth that leads to a godly walk. It leads to how we could have a more godly life. And so we see in Proverbs that in Proverbs chapter 1, it actually tells us kind of who wrote this. So it says, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, who was the king of Israel. And actually, Solomon was the king, David was the king. But Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, writes these proverbs. And it seems that he's writing this to his son. Now, he had multiple sons. I'm not sure. I don't know that there's definitive proof of exactly who he wrote it to. But as I read this, I think, man, this is really good for all 3 of my boys. So it's good for you. It's good for me. Ladies, it's good for you as well. But let's just read the first. Few verses because what we're going to read is outlined in the rest of the book of Proverbs. So here it is: a proverb of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealings, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and let the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So we just take those first 7 verses, and he starts out. The purpose of the book of Proverbs is this: that we might know wisdom and instruction, that we might understand words of insight, that we would receive instruction in wise dealings, in righteousness, in justice, and in equity, that it would give prudence to the simple, that it would give knowledge and discretion to the youth. This is huge. As he's writing to his son, one of the main reasons he's writing is because young men, as they grow up, have to make some very serious decisions, very big decisions, and they really have absolutely no idea how important it is to make wise decisions. I mean, typically, if you remember growing up, guys, and gals too, as your parents said, this is what you need to do, your go-to thought was, I wonder why, or do I really need to? Is that really the truth? Do I really have to do that? That doesn't seem very smart to me. But but Solomon, as he's writing this, there's some very important things that he lays out for youth. So they really grow up, and as they're making decisions, they make wise decisions. So Solomon is a very interesting man. He's the wisest man that ever lived, according to the Bible. He asked God for wisdom. He had the opportunity to ask God for anything. He asked God for wisdom. Wisdom to lead well as a king. God gave him wisdom beyond measure, but he didn't stop there. Because he sought something good, wisdom, instead of money or stature or something like that, God gave him all the other stuff too, because he chose wisdom. It's important for us to choose wisdom. As we're living, and we just talked about, even as we live and we're wondering, like, what is God doing? It's important for us to choose wisdom. Wisdom is going to be good for us. So he writes this so that you could know wisdom and you could know instruction, that you could understand words of insight, that you could receive instruction in wise dealing, receive instruction in righteousness, receive instruction in justice, receive instruction in equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. And then he says, let the wise hear and increase in learning. So if there are wise, let them listen to the more wisdom and let them put it in their pocket. Let them take it with them. And the one who obtains, that understands, let him obtain guidance. And really the purpose, to understand a proverb and its saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. And then he gives this. Before we start, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. You want to know where knowledge starts? It starts at understanding the reverent fear of the Lord. To know that God, the sovereign God, is a great God, that he's a big God, that he is in charge, that he knows all things, he's sovereign, he's omniscient, he's all-knowing, he's just this giant, wonderful God. The fear of the Lord is the beginning. It's where it starts, the beginning of knowledge. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. Now, I don't have time to read all of Proverbs chapter 1, but you should read it in understanding of the first 7 verses. You should read it, because what you're going to see is that you're, as children, as unwise as most of us are. Yes, we are growing in wisdom, but in reality, like we fall way short in wisdom. He says, my son, I need you to listen to me. And don't forsake your mother's teaching. And then he goes on and he says, now if somebody tries to entice you to sin, you got to run away. You got to get away. And he explains what those people are like and what are their thoughts and why are they really doing it. And then it talks about wisdom. And it says in verse 20 that wisdom cries aloud in the street, in the market. She raises her voice. At the head of the noisy street, she cries out. At the entrance of the gates, she speaks. And then she says this, wisdom, if wisdom could speak, how long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? What a bummer. Like, why wouldn't we want to be wise? Given the opportunity, we should desire wisdom. But there are people, some of us are these. Some of us have been this kind of mentality where even though wisdom is being given to us, we put it away, put it off, we put it on a shelf, we don't want it. We hear it, I don't know that's good enough for me, I don't know, it's what I need, I put it away. And it's unfortunate that we do that. Because when we don't have wisdom, here's what it says in the last 2 verses. The simple are killed by their turning away, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me, whoever listens to wisdom, will dwell secure and be at ease without dread of disaster. So you can either be literally destroyed and just your life could just be a mess because you decide, I don't need wisdom, or you can listen to wisdom and be secure be at ease and not dread disaster. And given that you have the two choices, why would you ever choose anything but dwelling secure, being at ease, and not dreading disaster? But many do. So let's go to chapter 7, 8, and 9. So in chapter 7, so here's what we need to understand. Solomon is the writer of Proverbs. Now, God is the initiator of Proverbs. So Paul writes to Timothy, all Scripture is breathed out by God. Okay? So he spoke to certain men who wrote in their own writing, their own writing style, in their own language, the things that God told them to say. So ultimately, God is speaking, but he's speaking through Solomon and his hands and his pen. And so we have two people so far that are speaking, at least in this moment, okay? So first we have God overall. Then we have Solomon, who starts out chapter 7 like this: my son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teaching as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablets of your heart. Say to wisdom, so imagine wisdom as something tangible. Say to wisdom, you're my sister. And call insight your intimate friend. You remember what he said in chapter 1, to know wisdom and instruction and to understand words of insight. So when you see and when you think about wisdom, let wisdom be something that is akin to you. And let insight be your best friend. And here's why. Remember, young men, really old men too, to keep you from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words. And then I just want to read this. He's talking about being in his house and seeing the foolish who don't have the wisdom. For at the window of my house I've looked out through my lattice, and I've seen among the simple, I've perceived among the youths a young man lacking sense. He passes along the street near the corner, taking the road by her house, the woman that he was talking of, in the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. And behold, the woman meets him, dressed like a prostitute, wily of heart. She's loud, she's wayward, her feet do not stay at home. Now in the streets, now in the marketplace, and every corner she lies in wait. And she seizes him, and she kisses him. And with a bold face she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices today. I paid my vows, so now I've come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I've found you. I've spread my couch with coverings, colored linens, Egyptian linens. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's take fill of our love till morning. Let us delight ourselves in love. For my husband, he's not at home. He's gone on a long journey. He took a money bag with him, and he'll be back at the full moon. This young man has no idea what's going on because he didn't pay attention to wisdom. But that's the thing. He says, you need to hear my wisdom. You need to take understanding, and you need to take these things. You need to listen to me, because what's going to happen is going to be destruction if you don't. We read that in chapter 1. Those who don't have anything to do with wisdom are destroyed. Those who listen live, right? So here's what it says in verse 26. For many a victim she has laid low, and all of her slain are a mighty throng. Her house is on the way to Sheol, going down to the chambers of death. Those who don't take wisdom fall into this place of destruction. So he's writing to his son to listen. Now look at verse 8, because it changes. Here's how it starts out. Does wisdom call? Does not understanding raise her voice? On the heights beside the house at the crossroads, she takes her stand. Behind the gates in front of the town, at the entrance of the portal, she cries out aloud, To tell, O men, I call, or to you, O men, I call. And my cry is to the children of men. O simple ones, learn prudence. O fools, learn sense. Hear, for I will speak noble things, and my lips will come what is right. From my lips will come what is right, for my mouth will utter truth. Wickedness is an abomination to lips. Read through this, and it's somebody else speaking. And as I'm thinking, like, if I was going to preach this, I would call it, if wisdom had lips, or if wisdom could speak. So as Solomon's writing this, he's writing this as though, because God gave him the wisdom that just wouldn't even make sense to us. He was the wisest man. God gave him all this wisdom. And so he's taking this proverb, this chance to write this proverb to his son, from the position of wisdom. So son, listen, this is what it looks like when wisdom is calling to you. It's obvious. I mean, you have to almost be stupid to say no. I mean, wisdom's in the street. She's crying out to you. She said your name. She asked you a question. So here, we have three people talking. We have God, right, overall. We have Solomon, who's the writer. And Solomon's writing as if he is wisdom. But it's the proverb, it's the saying, it's the thing where he's explaining something in a way that we can understand, in a way that his son could understand. It's a way of getting his point across. I don't know how many times you've written your kids a letter as though you were somebody else or something else. Probably never, unless you did the whole Santa Claus thing. But he's writing as though wisdom can actually speak. Because we actually hear wisdom from people. We need to learn how to listen to it. We need to learn what wisdom sounds like. We need to understand. We need to have discernment so that when we hear wisdom, we actually take wisdom and we do something with it. And then back, so verse 7 is God and Solomon. Verse 8 is God, Solomon, wisdom. Verse 9 goes back. He says, wisdom has built her house. She's hewn her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her beast. She's mixed her wine. She's also set her table. She's sent out her young women to call from the highest place in town. Whoever is simple, turn here. Whoever lacks sense, she says, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine that I've mixed. Leave your simple ways and live and walk in the way of insight. So it seems that it goes from Solomon writing, speaking, to wisdom speaking, back to Solomon speaking for wisdom. So it's God, it's Solomon speaking for God, and then it's Solomon writing for wisdom, and then it's Solomon speaking for wisdom. So you have God and wisdom and Solomon, they're all in these places, but Solomon is the one writing all of these things from a different perspective for his son to be able to understand. So as I was just being able to listen to that, just listen to it, think about it, study it in my brain, and just, it's very interesting. And I don't think I've ever slowed down enough to really pick out the separation in voices, So I like to do impressions. Yeah, I like to do impressions, different voices, and it's fun if you're a kid. It's annoying if you're my wife, but we do, it's fun to do. But this is exactly what he's doing. It's like he's speaking, and then he's speaking in a different voice, which is wisdom, and then he's speaking in a different voice, which is for wisdom. So wisdom is actually speaking in verse 8. In verse 9, he's speaking in the stead of wisdom. But as he writes, and then chapter 10 starts out again, the Proverbs of Solomon. It's a reminder, here we are, Solomon's writing this for us to learn and to understand. So, read Proverbs, read it every day, and think about this. Really, you should probably read chapter 1, at least the first 7 verses, every day before you read your chapter, because it's a reminder What am I doing here? What am I supposed to get out of this? Oh, yeah. I should be knowing wisdom and instruction. I should be understanding words of insight. I should be receiving instruction in wise dealing, righteousness, justice, equity. I should be receiving prudence. I should be receiving knowledge and discretion. I should hear an increase in learning. I should obtain guidance. I should understand the proverb, what it says, the words of the wise, the riddles. And first and foremost, I need to understand that the fear of the Lord is where it starts. The understanding, the reverent, respectful fear of the Lord is where it starts. So, Proverbs chapter 1, and then just read through and see how they all tie together and how they all come back. We read from Proverbs chapter 16. I mean, we can take Proverbs chapter 16 and we can go right back to Proverbs chapter 1 to know wisdom and instruction, right? The plans of the heart belong to the man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are pure in his eyes, but the Lord weighs the spirit. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. So if that's all true, and I go back, I need to understand wisdom. I need to understand instruction. I need to understand insight. I need to understand wise dealing and righteousness and justice and equity. I need to understand these things, and right here is telling me that if I have plans or if I have these ideas and blueprints and I take them and I set them before the Lord and I say, okay, God, you do whatever you want to do with these and you help me understand so that when I do these things, they're actually following your will and not mine, because then they'll be successful. Guarantee if I build the house on my own blueprints, my own house of life, if you will, on my own blueprints, minus whatever God has to say, then chances are I'm probably going to fail. I'm going to have a kind of an awkward house, you know. You've been in those old homes where when you're walking across the floor, it dips way down and comes back up, and you couldn't play marbles anywhere because your marbles would roll all kinds of different places, right? But that's what it's like when we build these kind of idea houses, these life houses, if you will, without seeking the one who is the great builder, the carpenter himself, Jesus. All right, want to say hi to Marcia. Aaron Barker, what's up, man? Aaron and I used to do some DJing together back in the day, so that was fun back when we were younger. Yeah, they called me DJ Airliner. It's no big deal, but it's pretty awesome. So, yeah, all right, enough about that. All right, guys, hey, it's 3 o'clock. We got about 10 minutes left to get our hour in. So I want to encourage you to ask questions if you have them. This is Ask Your Pastor, so if you just popped in here, you don't really know what's going on, let me just explain to you. This is a 1-hour broadcast. We do 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Mondays and Tuesdays, we do it at 2 o'clock. Wednesdays, we do it at 7 p.m. And it is a 1-hour broadcast where you get to ask questions, and I try to give you answers. Wednesdays are kind of special days. We try to bring in somebody to be the guest on the show, broadcast, and that's more fun for me because then I get to actually talk to somebody and have real words come back to me, which is kind of neat. But I want to invite you guys to come back on Sunday. Well, let me just give you the week rundown real quick. Here's what we do. So we try to reach out to you every day of the week. At least every day of the week that we're working. I think the one day that we have right now that maybe we don't have anything is Friday. But let me lay it out for you. So Mondays, we have Ask Your Pastor right now from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And then Pastor Brian does a Zoom youth group study at 6 o'clock on Mondays. So if you have a youth, somebody anywhere from middle school to high school, and you want them to be involved in this Bible study, check out Brian, BRYAN, @glenpark.com. That's his email. Email him, hey, I want to get my kid tuned into this. He'll send you the link. You guys can get on there. That's about an hour-long deal where they play some games, they do some talking, they read God's Word, and it's really neat. But it's our way of kind of connecting, one of our ways for Brian to connect with them. So that's happening on Monday. Tuesday, we do Ask Your Pastor at 2 o'clock, 1-hour broadcast. On Wednesday, we have your midweek messenger, which is an email that you should be getting. If you're part of Glen Park or if you've requested it, hopefully you're getting it. If you're not and you want it, it's our weekly kind of email, tells you everything about what's going on, a little note from me at the beginning, and then just kind of what you can find going on. That's Wednesday at 12:30. And then we have Ask Your Pastor at 7. And then Thursday, we have Coffee with Brian at 2 o'clock. Also, you will see on our Kids Men page, KIDSMIN, Kids Men, you'll see that Miss Becky does a broadcast once a week, and it's just a 10 or 15-minute little time where she sings with the kids. They do some stuff, some fun stuff, play some songs, read some stories, and so it's a really neat opportunity for them to tune in. And she loves doing it. She does an awesome job. So that's Thursday. Also on Thursday, we give you our Sunday set list. So that's the songs. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on our Instagram page as well, with a link to our YouTube music page. And when you go there, the songs that we're going to sing on Sunday will be on there. You can listen to them, learn them, enjoy them, worship throughout the week. And then on Saturday, you're actually going to get an email, if you're on our email list, of all the lyrics to the songs that we are going to sing on Sunday. So you should get that about 12:30 on Saturday. So we try to keep in touch with you. And then, of course, on Sunday at 10:30 right here, we have our service. We're getting closer to having a live service July 5th. We're excited about that because it's lonely here sometimes. It's quiet. We don't like quiet. We want it to be loud. Brian and I are the loudest people probably here, and people get tired of hearing us. So, but it's fun. We're ready for you guys to be back. We're ready for you to be here. But be here at 10:30 right here on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, depending on where you're streaming from. And you can check us out. You can comment. I think you can comment on both of them. Say, hey, we're here. Good morning or whatever. Tell Pastor Don how great his music is. All those options. So that's Sunday at 10:30. I want to say hi to Chrissy Honkamp. Love you, Chrissy. Glad you're here. We are about 5 minutes away from the end of the day. And yeah, we got a little late start, so I decided we'll go a little later today and make sure we get our full hour in. And honestly, we could just sit here and be quiet for 5 minutes and nobody would know. Except I hate awkward silence, so we can't do that. We have been going through a study on Sundays through the book of Philippians, and it's called For the Lord and for Wichita. Now, you're probably wondering, where is Wichita in the Bible? And that's a great question. It's technically nowhere, but it is kind of somewhere. At the end of Matthew, Jesus says, go into all the world and preach the gospel, so it's kind of there. But here's the deal. In Judges chapter 7, there's this guy, his name is Gideon. And Gideon's a farmer. He's not a warrior. He's nothing like that. He's just a farmer. In fact, he's kind of he's a coward, really. But God uses Gideon with an army of 300 men to go up against an army that outsizes them by, I don't even know how many, 10 times or whatever. It's huge. And they should die. I mean, they shouldn't win. They should cross the water and they should just die right there. But God gives them the victory. They go over, they fight in the middle of the night, they kill everybody, and they win. The cool thing about this is that as they're getting ready to go into battle, Gideon says to his 300 men, listen, guys, we're in this together. We're going together. We're going to do all these things together. So when I move, you move. When I speak, you speak. And here's what we're going to say. We're going to say for the Lord and for Gideon. So really what they're saying is we're here fighting for the Lord, and he's fighting with us, and we're fighting for Gideon. We're standing behind him. We're standing beside him. We're fighting for the Lord and for Gideon. And so as we look at that at Glen Park, we're saying we're here fighting for the Lord, with the Lord, and for our city, Wichita. We're taking the gospel together, step by step, to our city. We are here for a purpose at Glen Park. We're here for the Lord, and we're here for Wichita. And so we've been going through Philippians, and we've been seeing about this church that's about 10 years old. And we're listening to Paul as he kind of starts out really excited about the church. So in 10 years, they're growing, they're on fire, they haven't lost their fire that they had 10 years ago. He's just overly excited about how they're doing, and so he's praising them. And then he goes into different things. He's saying, here's Here's what I'm doing. Here's what's going on. He goes into different things about, like, I need to warn you. I need to encourage you. I want to thank you. I want to give some instruction. He does these things. And so we're taking all this stuff, we're kind of putting it in a pile, and we're using it as a litmus test against Glen Park. And so we're saying, okay, Glen Park, where are we? Like, are we that strong church? Are we growing? Are we out reaching the lost? Are we doing these kind of things? What are the things that we need to do personally that we need to allow God to change? What are some things corporately that we need to allow God to change in order for us to be able to go out and win a battle for the Lord? And so as we think about our city, Wichita, we love Wichita. I'm overly in love with Wichita. It's I think a God-given love. I can't explain it, but every morning I drive here, I'm just like, man, Lord, I'm so undeserving to be here. This is such a wonderful place. So we're here. We want to love our city. We want to go out, and we want to win people to Christ. It's so important that we do that. So we're doing that together, and we end every broadcast with our battle cry. So, folks, let's do it together. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. For the Lord and for Wichita. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.